What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So we're continuing our scouting breakdown of our 2023 NFL draft class. We move into round 5 where we're breaking down running back Israel Abanikanda. And I couldn't be more excited to dive into this dude. He was a little bit more of an unknown for me, which made it a little bit more refreshing. But considering I wanted some guys like Sean Tucker, Chase Brown, when we were looking at that 4th, 5th, 6th round territory, seeing this name was surprising. But I couldn't be happier to see what I was missing out on and what this guy is going to bring to the New York Jets. And to be honest, outside of Zach Kuntz, when you want to talk about immediate and long-term starting potential, this guy looks like an absolute steal of the draft of what probably should have been a 2nd or 3rd round talent. So let's go ahead and dive into him a little bit. So obviously we're talking about another Pittsburgh player here. I say that because in the 4th round we went and picked Warren Carter from the same school. So there's going to be a lot of things that match up here very well. But 5 foot 10 inches, 216 pounds. He's built pretty sturdy, which is great because he's not just a guy that has top-notch speed. He's a guy that's going to be able to go out there and grind out some tough yardage for us as well. So kind of a do-it-all back as well, not necessarily in the same mode as Breece Hall, but definitely brings a lot of the same traits. So 2-time gold medalist in the 100-meter dash. This was for the New York City Mayor's Cup race. He also got a bronze medal in the 100-meter at the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, which was a outdoor track and field championship. So he's played football, he's played track, he's done extremely well at both. He also ended up kind of playing on both sides in football as a defensive back, I believe, and then obviously as a running back, which when you get those combinations of guys that have been on both sides of the field, they tend to have a notch under their belt that a lot of players that have strictly only played their position has, because they have the understanding of what it looks like from the opposite side. So I love that as well. He ended up leading Pitt in rushing yards in his sophomore year. He's kind of been brought on slow. 2022 comes around, though, and he leads the entire ACC in rushing. It's not even close. And you're talking about guys like Chase Brown and I believe Sean Tucker as well. That's within this same conference. So pretty stellar stuff by him. One of the things I love as well, again, it's a Pitt offense. So we're talking about a professional zone run based offense here. He's going to fit in perfect. And he's one of the I won't say it's rare, but one of the fewer guys that the athletic ability that you see at the combine, and his combine was crazy, matches what you see on tape as a guy that is explosive. He's sudden, quick twitch, all of those great things that we love to hear about any athlete in general, but especially at the running back position. So coming off his 2022 season, 239 yards attempt, by far the most that he's had in his 3 years with Pittsburgh, 1,431 yards for a 6-yard per carry clip, 20 touchdowns. He had the longest run of his season, 80 yards, and then he added on 12 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown. So this is the season that we're coming off of that vaulted him into top contention, with a lot of scouts saying he should be one of the top 5 to 10 running backs taken in this particular draft. Now, skill set wise, what is he bringing, right? The size and athleticism. He offers the ability to attack not only in between the tackles, but outside, which is important. You get a lot of speed guys, and you really have to relegate them to stretch plays and anything that, can help you facilitate it outside the tackle. You get them in space. Hopefully you get a couple good angles. You can see them take it to the house. He's the rare combination of player that can do both inside and outside. And to be honest, he kind of loves the congestion and the traffic in the middle more than anything. But he has plan and go ability. Not the best agile athlete, right? But he has an abundance of everything that you want there. So when you talk about a one-cut runner, when he finally decides this is where he's going, he's taking off, and hopefully the defenders are ready for him. He can break a long run at any moment. Obviously, I know at his combine/pro days, there were some scouts that said they clocked him around a 4.3. I think his official time was about a 4.41, but he definitely has some wheels on him. Good lateral ability. He's not necessarily going to be caught up in a lot of clogged backfields. Kind of also an escape artist. So in the event that he does end up having some numbers that don't work in his favor, he's going to be able to go out there and make some things happen with his footwork, his ability to break some tackles to a degree, and then, of course, just the speed that he's going to be able to offer to just outrun certain guys that think they have him, within his grasp. He also is going to bring kick return ability. I think this might have been a tiebreaker between guys like Chase Brown, Sean Tucker, is that he's been able to go out there and return kicks. He had at least a touchdown in the 2021 season, but we haven't seen a ton of that on tape. We just know that he offers that ability to us. Solid enough hands and after catch ability, which is going to be great. We're not looking at this guy right now as really a third down back, so I know a lot of people consider him the immediate Ty Johnson replacement. That might not be so much the case. That might actually end up being where Michael Carter moves into. But Israel is going to be able to offer that first down, second down versatility. Some other things, if there's space, he's going to create separation. That's just the suddenness, the acceleration, the long speed that he has on film, on tape, in the combine. So it's great to see that. There's not really going to be too many people that's going to catch him from behind if he's able to hit a hole. He has a legit spin move, so I've seen this on tape quite a bit. He utilizes it to really kind of mitigate the amount of contact an opponent is going to be able to get. And then, of course, again, with that suddenness, he can accelerate in a heartbeat. Do 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds, and he's going to get out of trouble. And then he's able to recognize opportunities to cut back inside and attack. So, as I mentioned, he kind of likes, or I will say he kind of has the mentality of, if he sees kind of that mosh pit happening on the inside, he figures he can attack it, he can make something happen. And so I kind of love that mentality about this particular runner. And then, of course, a staple from anybody that wants a solid running back, but of course with the style of running backs that we picked up, his contact balance is definitely above average, so something I love to see. Some of the opportunities, right? It's going to be few and far in between, but these are some key ones. He's not really consistent reading rushing lanes all the time, so this is a guy that, while he one cuts and hits the holes, sometimes while he's trying to get into his rhythm, you see him not necessarily either attacking the right gap, or he's kind of second guessing it, and that can cause him to kind of be caught up in the backfield a little bit. Game breaking speed, but that doesn't translate all the time while he's trying to, do some moves where he's changing direction, right? So laterally, not the most fluid of athletes, and so you kind of lose a lot of that power, a lot of that suddenness that he's going to bring. If he's, doing a stutter step, if he's sidestepping somebody, different things like that. So can be impatient when blocks being lined up as well. I've seen a little bit of both. Times where he's very patient, times where he's impatient. You see him run into the back of his offensive lineman quite a bit. And so opportunities that could have been there, cutbacks, different things of that nature, kind of go away pretty quickly for him. And then I don't want to say, of course, he has the size to actually be pretty good at this, but he does struggle in pass protection. So people can run straight through him. He's not going to have an anchor like an offensive lineman will. You're also going to see him, and maybe he recognizes this as well, and so he tries to go for the what do they call it now? The chop block, I guess, where he's essentially just going to die and play the landmine role in front of whoever's rushing in front of him, and hope that buys enough time for the quarterback. Can be overly creative and caught dancing in the backfield a little bit if those holes aren't going to be there immediately. So again, touched on this a little bit earlier. He's either going to be running into the back of his offensive lineman if he's not attacking that hole directly. And so knowing the traits that he brings, that agility, that suddenness, the explosion of speed, the burst, it kind of works to his disadvantage in some cases, because he's going to figure he can just run his way out of a lot of things if he doesn't necessarily read things correctly on that particular play. And then he's almost too comfortable, and I kind of mentioned this, mentality wise I love it, but when you want to talk about just being the most efficient you can be as a running back, he kind of thrives or lives to attack some of those clogged lanes, and he can miss opportunities bouncing outside of the tackle, where all of the traits that we just discussed would be on full display, and you could talk about him potentially adding a couple extra 100 yards onto an already lofty total that he had for his junior year here. And then when you want to talk about a receiving threat, it's not a specialty of his, right? Not to say he wasn't necessarily asked to do it a whole bunch, but pretty modest production. And a lot of that, even though he has the ability to line up out of the slot, is because you see him catching with his body often enough as opposed to with his hands. And so that's something that you want to see improve quite a bit. But ultimately, I love what I've seen from the guy. I love what I was able to read up on. Two comparisons I have that should get people pretty excited for what he can ultimately become and the kind of role he can thrive in. Tevin Coleman, and we should be familiar with this because the New York Jets had brought him on for a season. And then another one, Isaiah Pacheco, the Kansas City Chiefs running back. Monstrous dude, offers quite a bit. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. For one, do you consider him the steal of this particular draft class? And where do you potentially see him ranking in the pecking order maybe a year or two from now? I think he can firmly entrench himself right behind Breece Hall with the ability that he brings. And so that's kind of going to be my hot take for it. But again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and I'll catch you again. Peace.